The Place Note tool. To get to the Place Note tool, if you go underneath the Drawing Production tab, you have this icon right here that says Place Note. Now, I'm going to open up the Place Note tool a little bit differently. That way it loads up my correct dimension style and the correct height of my text properly before I place it. If I go back up to the workflow, and I'm going to change that to the MoDOT CAD Detailing Standards. And for this example, I'm going to select the ribbon of Design, and then I'll click on my General Annotation, and up here at the top you have these notes that you can select, whether it's extra small, small, medium, large, or extra large. So I will just go ahead and select this one that says MoDOT Note Small. And you'll see that it loads up that tool, and also it loads up the correct attributes for placing a small note. It has the correct dimension style, the correct text height, and all the other stuff that is set up for a small note with the MoDOT defaults. You have two different options up here at the top underneath the Place Note. You got either Place Note or Place Callout. We normally don't do callout, so we're not going to worry about that. So we'll just leave it set to Place Note. You have your dimension style, which you shouldn't have to change since we loaded it up through the CAD Detailing Standards, so we'll leave it alone for right now. Your text rotation, you have horizontal, vertical, or inline. Normally if you're going to place a note, it's going to be horizontal, so you would leave it set to that. The location, whether it's automatic or manual, we'll just leave it set to automatic for right now. Where do you want to start at, either at the terminator or the text? We'll just leave it set to the terminator. And then your horizontal attachment, which is auto, left, and right. And we'll go over those options here in a little bit. Also down below here you have some options for the annotation lock, which all of our notes should be set with the annotation of on. And then you have some associations that you can tie it to that particular element or that cell or whatever that you're placing it to and associate it to that particular element. So you can have those toggled off or on depending on what situation that you have. So now if we're ready to place a note, I'll just come in here and type in some text. And then now we'll go out onto your screen and you have to identify your start point, and I'll just snap to the center of this box. And now you'll notice as I drag my mouse out, left or right, it's going to place that note according to whichever side that you want to place the note on. And this horizontal attachment of auto determines how it's going to place that note. So if I'm on the right side, it's going to place it this way. If it's on the left side, it's going to place it this way. So if I'm ready to drop off the note, I just simply left click to place it, and now we're finished. That's basically how to use the Place Note tool. Now if I come in here and I change my horizontal attachment to left, and I place that same note, you'll notice that it's going to force my note to actually be on the right side of my terminator portion of it, as you can see right there. Or if I do it to the right side, it's going to place it basically on the left side, and my terminator is going to be on the right side of that note. So if you need to do that for whatever reason, that's how you do that. I'll go ahead and change that back to auto. Another thing that we're going to show is if you want an inline leader on it. By default right now the inline leader is not set, but if you want to put an inline leader in there whenever you place the note, you can do that. And in order to do that, we need to go to our dimension styles. We're going to click on this button right here that says Dimension Style. This brings up the Dimension Styles dialog. Inside of here, if you go to the Text tab, you're going to have this section right here for notes. And this is where you can come in here and change your options depending on how you're wanting to place your note. Whether you can change the leader type from line to curve, which we normally don't do, but you could change it. If you want a text frame, if you want inline leader, which that's what we're going to do now, I'm actually going to put an inline leader of 2 in there. And then some other options if you wish to change those. You also have some options to change where you want that inline leader to be from, whether it's at the top of it, or if you want that at the center of it, or at the bottom, you can change those. So those are the options for whenever you're wanting to change your notes. These are these options that you can change. So now that I got the inline leader set to 2, and I will go ahead and check mark that box to make sure it's active. I'll go ahead and close out the dialog. And now if I come in here and place this note, you're going to see that inline leader being placed on there. So that's where you would come in, and if you want an inline leader, that's how you would put it on. You also have the option for your location of manual, which if you set that to manual, and let's say we just do place note again, and I'll just dynamically place it, I'll drop it off. You'll notice that you can keep going and place that note, and then once you're done with it, you can right click to end it, and it places that note. So it kind of manually lets you to go around something if you wish to do that. Probably not too often that you'd utilize that, but that is an option. I'll go ahead and do an undo, change that back to auto, and now we're finished with the place note tool. So that's the basics of using the place note tool, and also changing your dimension style for the inline leader to place that note accordingly.